Hare Krishna. Welcome back, devotees. So, we are studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we we started chapter 6 yesterday, and we discussed how Krishna is describing the process of Ashtanga Yoga to Arjuna. And one of the most uh, required thing in Ashtanga Yoga is to control the mind. Without controlling one's mind, we can't expect any advancement in the path of yoga system. So the first prerequisite for advancing in the path of yoga is to control one's mind and senses. Recently, we celebrated the festival of Ram Navami, and we see in Ramayana this example of Manthara and Kekai. Kekai was Lord Ram's stepmother, but she loved Lord Ram more than his own mother Kaushalya. Kekai loved Ram more than Bharat, her own son. But then when Manthara came, as if she was the most uh, well-wishing friend to Kekai, but Manthara's advice spoiled Kekai's intelligence. Manthara's advice led to the death of Dasharath. Kekai herself became a widow. Manthara's advice led Bharat to live outside city of Ayodhya. So Kekai was bereft of her own son. And Manthara's advice led to the exile of Lord Ram and Lakshman. So we can compare Manthara to uncontrolled mind. Uncontrolled mind is like Manthara. And Kekai is like soul. If soul listens to uncontrolled mind, that is like Kekai listening to Manthara. Even if we have to listen, but Kekai could have taken second opinion, guidance from somebody who is more intelligent than Manthara. Manthara was a servant actually, and Kekai was queen. For a queen to hear a servant's advice is not at all a normal thing. But she did that. In the same way, soul is actually supposed to control the mind and senses, because soul is uh, the the passenger in the chariot of the body, whereas driver of the chariot is supposed to take the orders of the passenger. But now if chariot goes on its own, that is not a normal situation. Therefore, the first condition in yoga practice, in Ashtanga yoga, is to control one's mind and senses. So that becomes a very, very important factor for a yogi. Now, in order to control the demands of the mind, there are two ways. If we go through the technical way of Dhyana yoga, endeavor is to stop all material emotions, to stop the activities of mind, which is quite difficult and actually impossible in this age of Kali. On the contrary, on the other hand, Bhakti Yoga, we don't stop emotions, we don't stop the activities of mind, we don't endeavor to become inactive. But in Bhakti Yoga, we kindle the spiritual emotions. We focus on emotions which can reconnect us to the Supreme Lord. That purifies our existence. This way, we advance fast and the endeavor is least. Whereas in Dhyana Yoga, it's a very, very difficult process. At the same time, Dhyana Yoga cannot give the same benefit as Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga, we discussed yesterday, brings one to the level of Nirvinna Chetasa, which people call as Nirvana. Nirvinna Chetasa means one does not get distracted by the illusions of this material world. So mind get focused on the service of the Supreme Lord, where a devotee is not looking for any material results. When a devotee is not looking for name, fame, appreciation, adoration, worship, distinction, devotee has only one definition of success. That definition of success is, I have to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a very thin line of difference between becoming detached and becoming irresponsible. We discussed this before also. Many times people are irresponsible, but they try to pass on the name of being detached. So it depends on three things. First is enthusiasm. Second is patience. Third is faith. Faith in the Supreme Lord. Faith in the service of the Supreme Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes Shraddha, Shabda, Vishwas, Sudrida Nishay, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. Chaitanya Charitamrita tells, what is Shraddha? What is faith? Faith means we have full confidence that if we are serving Krishna, all other duties are fulfilled by that. We don't need to separately endeavor doing anything else. Now, suppose somebody has no enthusiasm. Technically, he is a lazy person and he has a lot of patience. No enthusiasm, but he has a lot of patience. He don't want to work and he has a lot of patience. That okay, things will happen, don't worry. And he doesn't have faith also in the Supreme Lord. Then his state of existence is in the mode of ignorance. Somebody has a lot of enthusiasm, but no patience. That person is in the mode of passion. Somebody has a lot of enthusiasm and patience. Great combination, very rare. Where person has enthusiasm and patience. That is in the mode of goodness. But even in the mode of goodness, the complete faith in the Supreme Lord doesn't come. We can understand this with the prayer of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays to the Supreme Lord, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamay, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatat bhaktir ahetuki tvai. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying to the Supreme Lord Krishna, my dear Krishna, I don't want opulence of this world, but I don't want liberation also. Because he's saying janmani janmanishware. I can come birth after birth if you want. I leave it up to you. Whereas person in the mode of goodness, he has a tendency to be liberated. He has tendency to leave the bondage of the material clutches. But devotee is not like that. Devotee is Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tuhar, nitya das prati tuha adhikar. Oh my Lord, I'm your eternal servant. You want me to suffer in this world? I'll suffer in this world. If you want me to go back to your kingdom, I'll go back to your kingdom. This is devotee. So, person in a pure nirvinna chetasa is who has enthusiasm, who has patience, and who has complete faith in the shelter of the Supreme Lord. That makes person on yoga rudha, the perfection of yoga. Arudha actually means to sit on. Arudha, like Garuda Arudha means Krishna or Lord Vishnu sits on Garud. Arudha. Yoga Arudha means one who has achieved the state of perfect yoga or one who is perfect yogi. So Krishna is summarizing the thing by telling the methods to attain Yoga Rudha stage. Anupama Mataji, can you read translations for 24 and 25?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not to be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. 25. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
So whenever Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita to abandon desires, he is always talking about material desires. There are two kinds of desires. One kind of desire is a natural gross desire which comes out of contact between sense and sense objects, like experience of heat, experience of cold, etc. Another kind of desires, they are more severe, they're more difficult to handle. They are our subtle desires, like it's my land, it's my family, it's my body. These are materialistic desires. So second type of desires are more severe. So we have to learn to control these desires. When we give up such material desires, then automatically person control his senses. Because senses take the dictation of mind. Mind is the storehouse of desires. So if desires are purified, mind is also purified. When mind is purified, mind doesn't give dictation to senses for sense gratification. And therefore, person in full conviction can think about the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Prabhupada says that real pratyahara means that we should have proper conviction and intelligence to stop sensual activities, to stop materialistic activities. We should learn to say no. There is one experiment, one famous experiment which was done in America, and this experiment was done on children when they were like 3, 4, 5 years of age. So, what happened? There were a group of children who were taken to a room, an experiment room, and they were told that if you can wait for 1 hour in this room, you will get 2 chocolates each. But the thing is, that room was having a bowl of chocolate already kept. If you want, you can grab any one chocolate and you can enjoy it. But if you don't eat a chocolate for 1 hour, you will get 2 chocolates after the end of experiment. So that was the experiment. Small children, they were made to sit in front of a bowl of chocolates. That if you take chocolate, you can take one, but if you resist yourself for 1 hour, you will get two. So at the end of 1 hour, there were two kinds of children. One were termed as grabbers. They could not control for 1 hour. They said, let us take one chocolate and enjoy. They were put in the category of grabbers. And those who controlled for 1 hour, they were in the category of resistors. So both were uh, termed as grabbers and resistors. After 20 years, again these children who were now grown up adults, they were called to that experiment lab. And now their life was studied, how exactly their life is. And these were the results. Those who were resistors, those who could resist the temptation of eating chocolate for 1 hour, their life was less disorganized, they were more focused, they were more able to handle the challenging situations in their life. They were confident, trustworthy, and all good qualities were there in these group of children who could resist for 1 hour. Now, on the other hand, grabbers, their life was in mess because for small temptations, they fell prey to it, and they had a lot of bad qualities. So, Krishna is telling us that if we train ourselves to be more disciplined, then we can achieve a lot in our life. But if we lose ourselves for small pleasures, for petty pleasures, then we end up messing up with our life. Therefore, Krishna gives the success formula in yoga. And this also applies to our practice of devotional service also. Krishna tells that mind's nature is to wander around. Mind is fickle. Chanchalahi mana Krishna is very fickle in nature. So, yes, mind will do its job. It will roam around here and there. But what we have to do, we have to bring it back. As soon as we detect that now my mind is going away, we should bring it back. This exercise will slowly train the mind to be controlled. Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam asthiram. As mind wanders, yato yato, whenever mind starts to wander around, leaving the focus, tatastata niyamaitat, bring it back, withdrew the mind. Atmani eva vasham nayan. The mind should be under the control of Atma. So Atma has ability to bring mind back. Now this particular verse is very famous. Students use this verse for their studies. That whenever they study, they should bring back the focus. Business people, they use this verse very often. Army people use this, for focusing in their career. Many people use this. But for us, in Krishna consciousness, we can use it for our chanting also. Like when we are chanting, our mind may wander around here and there, but we should train our mind to bring back on the holy name. Similarly, yogi also does the same thing. Yogi's mind may wander around, but he brings back. Srila Prabhupada explained it very nicely. Srila Prabhupada says that flickery and unsteady, the mind's nature. Now, there are two ways to handle it. One is you let mind go wherever it's going, and we can come under the control of mind. Then there is a terminology for such people. They are called Go Das. Go Das. Go means senses, Das means servant. Servant of the senses. Because mind is not in control, mind will also make senses go wild. And then person has to follow the trip of the mind. Go Das. But if one learns to control the mind, then he is called Goswami. Swami means master, Go means senses. Goswami means master of the senses. And how one becomes master of the senses? By two methods. One is knowledge. Anything starts with knowledge of what is good and bad. So first thing is we should know that if I engage myself in temporary happiness, ultimately it will lead to misery. But if I control myself a little bit time, then I am going to get eternal happiness. We should always remember grabbers and resistors. We have to become resistors. And second thing is, practically the senses need engagement. So the devotee engages the senses in Krishna's service. Not just dry knowledge, but practical application. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Richate. So person engages himself in the service of Krishna. That way, naturally, senses get controlled. So a devotee understands that, okay, initially I may feel that material happiness is higher than spiritual happiness. Initially, I may feel that. Like you can see this graph between time and happiness. There's a time axis and there is happiness access. So you can see that initially material happiness have a greater index than spiritual happiness. Why? Because initially you feel, see, material life, there is no restriction, there is nobody to tell us what to do, what not to do. Just follow your mind, just follow your heart, do whatever you like. It looks very lucrative. And spiritual life starts with a lot of rules and regulations. You can't do this, you can't do that, and you have to follow these principles and this and that. So initially it may look like that. But as time passes, material graph falls. But spiritual graph increases towards more and more happiness. So this endeavoring to bring back the mind is a training, that we train the mind that you be disciplined now. You're going to get eternal happiness. And if you lose yourself now for a short time period, you may have little happiness now, but then you have to suffer eventually. What is better? So that way yogi fixes his mind. Now, such a yogi may be in different states of realization. One is, like yesterday also we discussed, at the level of Brahman. Brahman level means he is more attached to impersonal aspect of the Lord. Basically, he realizes or he appreciates the energies of the Lord. Second level is Paramatma, where person realizes the localized super soul in the heart. So Krishna described this in 29th verse. And then 31st, Krishna described how a yogi who is more advanced can focus on the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead dealing with his devotees. And then 32, being at such advanced state, what is the vision of such a yogi to all living entities? So these are the progressive realizations at the level of Ashtanga Yogi. So let's start with verse 27. Devadev Prabhu, would you like to read translation for 27? Please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes that his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions of past deeds.
So when one realizes that he is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, then he does not feel connected to the material contamination. Basically, Brahma Bhuta state means Brahma Bhuta, one who realizes his true identity. He is freed from material contamination. And then he realizes that I am the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, so I am supposed to serve the Supreme Lord. So he is not looking after the petty pleasures of this world. Therefore, one cannot remain in the state of Brahma Bhuta if one's mind is under the sense gratification. One has to overcome that. And what is the result of such a realization? He attains happiness, highest happiness, Sukhena Brahma Sansparsham. By being in constant touch of the Supreme Lord, such persons remain always happy. Like temporary senses, when they are in touch with temporary sense objects, then the result is misery. But eternal soul, when is connection with the eternal Supreme Lord, result is eternal happiness. So it's very simple. In last chapter, Krishna told that Jahi Sansparsh Jabhoga Dukkhayo na evate. When senses come in contact with sense objects, the result is misery. But in this last verse, Krishna is telling, as a soul is in touch, constant touch of the Supreme Lord through service, soul being eternal, Lord being eternal, the relationship being eternal, it brings eternal happiness to the soul. Therefore, a devotee engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. What is the vision of such a devotee? How he sees the world, how he sees things around him. That is described in verse 29 and 30. Rasamrit Prabhu, can you read translations for 29 and 30? Please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam Desha Prabhupada. Hare Krishna to dear devotees. Verse 28. Thus, the self-controlled yogi constantly engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfection, happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Verse 29. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere.
So here, just 1 minute, I lost. Yeah. So here, a true yogi, how he sees the living beings around him, that is described. Let us understand this with a little flowchart. A yogi who is in perfect samadhi, first of all, he sees Paramatma in everybody's heart. Sarva Bhutastham. In everybody's heart, he will see Paramatma. Therefore, he does not distinguish between other living beings. Even the great demigods, he will see everybody as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And as a result of it, he will deal with them also equally. Samadarshana, Pandita Samadarshana. Therefore, in nutshell, if we want to understand, yogi who has achieved samadhi is not in bodily consciousness. He doesn't see people bodily consciousness. He will see people with perfect understanding of the Supreme Lord. He is seeing his Supreme Lord in everybody, every situation, every object. Actually, Prabhupada explains that devotee sees energies of the Lord everywhere. He searches that connection of Lord everywhere. So let us do a little exercise. Let us see how much our devotees are Krishna conscious. I will show you some photos and you have to quickly unmute and tell how it is. Okay, you can raise your hands and
Hare
you
Krishna,
can.
Prabhu. I had
Hare
one
Krishna.
question. Can I ask?
Okay, who is that? I
Yes,
can't see.
Prabhu.
Yes, Namra Sitaman. Yes.
Prabhu, you said in 28th and 27th verse, it is mentioned about Brahman realization. But it is all saying that the yogi engages himself, he gets free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. That is the last
That
one.
is Prabhupada's translation to guide us very nicely. But in the Sanskrit verse, Krishna is using the word Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta is the realization of Brahman. But Prabhupada, very mercifully, he connects it to devotional service because, as we discussed in the beginning of the chapter, one way of looking this chapter is through yogic perfection. Another way of looking this chapter is through devotional service. So
Okay.
Prabhupada follows this style of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where he sees everything in light to devotional service. So his way of understanding is that, and he wants us also to understand like that.
Okay.
Okay, like that. So what I'll do, I'll share a photo and then you have to raise your hand and you have to tell how it is related to Krishna. First one I will do, then rest of the thing you can raise your hand. The first one is easiest one. Flute. When you see flute, naturally you remember Krishna because Krishna plays flute. Okay. A glass of wine. Yes, Arun Charan Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada said that drinking wine is also Krishna conscious if you think that the taste is Krishna.
Really? yeah, Krishna, Prabhupada does say in teachings of Queen Kunti, And Prabhupada tells that he doesn't say you can drink wine and be Krishna conscious. He says if a drunkard thinks the taste of wine is also Krishna, then he can also become eventually Krishna conscious. Yes. Any other explanation or same? Bharat Krishna Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay, that one will go to the source, that the wine is grapes, and grapes, is Krishna.
Wow. That is also one way that wine comes from grapes come from trees and the plants, they come from earth comes from Krishna. So we can also go back like that. Very nice. Okay. Any other explanation? Yes, Venugari Prabhu. You can unmute.
We can, when we see the picture, we can say we should not, we should follow the principle of no intoxication.
Yeah, that should come in mind first. This is wine. If I drink this, then I lose Krishna. So yes, that should come first. Okay. Gold. How to connect it to Krishna? Yes, Saurabh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam. Prabhuji, you gave the just example that that Sansparsha Jab Hoga. So when I see gold, it is it's a material desire. So
So
it
as soon
will
as we see
end.
gold, we see danger.
Yeah, we see
Gold
danger,
has,
and we remember this verse spoken by God Himself that
yes,
Sansparsha Jab Hoga Dukhrane. I cannot remember the whole verse now.
yeah. Yehi sansparshi jab hoga, dukkha yona evate. If I get contact with sense object, I'll get misery. So I should not touch gold. I should give all jewelry to my wife. I should not touch myself. Okay, Vyasdev Prabhu. Other point?
Hare Krishna, bro. So seeing gold, we can remember the golden complexion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, golden
Okay,
avatar.
yes. When we see gold, then we remember. Anisha Mataji also wrote that. The golden avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, very nice. Jagatambika Mataji.
Prabhu, the sitting place of Kalyug, of Kalyuga.
Yeah, Bhagavatam tells the place for Kali to reside is in gold. So yes, we can remember that. Okay, Sudevi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. With gold, we can make lots of jewelry for the Lord.
Yes, we see that gold is there and we can make lot of jewelry and offer it in the temple. Very nice. Yes, Moksharupi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, and well pronounced. One of the qualities of the God is that he possesses all riches. So when we see gold, we can see that it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the God.
We can remember Ashwarasya Samagrasya. Ashwarasya Samagrasya. All opulence belong to Krishna. So when we see this opulence of gold, we should remember that actually Krishna is the owner of it. Yes. Shiraba Radha Kripa Kataksha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. There are so many descriptions in Krishna book and Srimad Bhagavatam of how the architecture in
Vedic times.
Krishna's time, Krishna's palaces, their jewelry, so many are described as gold. Or it also reminds us of Srimati Radharani and the opulence of gold Vrindavan.
Yes. So we can remember Srimati Radharani's complexion also. Kankanabja, Kumkumakta Kanchanabja. That is the golden complexion mixed with redness of kumkum. Srimati Radharani's complexion. And we can also remember how in Vedic times there was so much opulence. Vaijanti Mataji, you raised your hand.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I had this point that we see usually in, I think I've seen in Mangla Aarti, Ujjain, that Krishna, Balram, everyone wear golden mukut. So that remember me of that.
Yes, yes. We can also remember the altars. They are gold leafed. So wherever you see gold, you can remember altars. And we can remember the jewelry of the Lord. Yes. Radha Vallabha Mataji.
Prabhuji, I remembered Parikshit Maharaj got that to know that Kali Yuga will be in gold.
Yes, yes. We discussed that. how Kali Yuga will be in the gold. Yeah. Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's remind me of Goddess Fortune,
Yes.
Mata Lakshmi, accompanied by Lord Vishnu.
Very nice. There's gold and opulence and money. This is that is Goddess Lakshmi. And Krishna is Lakshmi Pati.
Yes.
So we remember that. Okay. Now next one. Gold was a popular one. Yes, Arun Charan Prabhu.
Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha.
Very nice. When we see a dead person, we remember the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that how Krishna told one who is born is sure to die. Very nice. Yes, Vansi Vilasani Mataji.
Antakali cha mameva smaran muktava kalevaram
Very good.
yavayati samadhavam yati namasyata samsaya.
Very good. When we see or we remember death,
Yes.
we should remember
Yeah.
that we should remember Krishna at the time of death.
Yes.
That is the test. So, and everyone has to face it. So we should
Yes.
be very cautious in our devotional service. Yes. Venudhari Prabhu.
The soul never dies, Prabhu.
Yes. That was a positive one. When we see dead body, we become happy that, okay, body is dying, but we will never die. So that's a good one. Yes. Saurabh Prabhu.
Prabhuji, after seeing this, I remember that we have been in this state from the millions of times. Now, so when I see that we have taken birth millions of times, now we should focus on God so that we can go back to Godhead.
Yes, yes. That this particular situation we have faced so many times, and we don't like this situation. So how to end this situation? By becoming a devotee of the Supreme Lord. Yes. Varat Krishna Prabhu.
This identity in the thumb or the toe is a misplaced identity. It's not the identity because it's all material.
Exactly. Yeah. This tag
It will all
of the
merge.
toe is not myself. They may name my body, but it's not my true identity. I was carrying on this identity whole my life, but it's not me. So we can also remember that. Yes. Sachidananda Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So we can remember that the soul, who was the consciousness inside the body, has now left the body. And therefore the body
Yes.
has become inert and has no life. It's dead.
Right. So we can understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, how scientific they are, that every organ is present in this body. What is lacking? That is the presence of the soul. Okay, so let's take one more. Rasamrit Prabhu. Okay, number 6. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please go
The
ahead.
state of the body, dead body, reminds us we all have to face this, but our aim is to go back to Godhead.
Yes, yes. And also one more thing we can remember, that for devotees, this death is actually an opportunity. Because Krishna says, Kalosmi, I am time. He comes as death to devotees to take them back to his abode. Like Bhishma Dev tells to Lord Krishna that you are that time factor who is devouring everybody. But you came in front of me to take me back home. So that is a devotee's attitude towards death. Okay, next. Let us see this one. Any guess? Yes, Shri Radha Kripa Kataksha Mataji.
Makes us remember to be as tolerant as a tree, as told by Lord Chaitanya.
Yes, yes. Lord Chaitanya told we should be as tolerant as a tree. So trees should remind us of teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Keshava Priya Mataji.
I'm thinking about the forest, and when the Pandavas were in exile, and even when Ram and Sita and Lakshman were in exile,
Yes.
they were in the forest.
Very nice. When we see forest, we can remember Lord Ram, we can remember the Pandavas, and we can also remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who visited so many forests preaching to the animals. We can remember all of that. Yeah. Varat Krishna Prabhu.
Well, the beauty of nature, the sunshine, the sun itself, the eye of the Lord. So many things to be remembered here, how lush this is.
Yeah, the beauty of the nature reflects beauty of the Supreme Lord. So we can remember that, and we can also remember Vrindavan, as Jagatambika Mataji wrote, that the forest can remind us the forest groves of Vrindavan. Sudevi Mataji.
Yeah, this is nature, the creation of the Lord, so it's very beautiful.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Let us see this one. Yes, Radha Vallabha Mataji.
Prabhuji, ocean of mercy.
Yes. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. When we see the ocean, Krishna is the ocean of mercy. Yes. Moksharupi Prabhu.
Prabhu, the blue color reminds us of the Krishna.
Yes,
The
the color blue. Actually, Prabhupada in one lecture says the sky is blue because Krishna is blue. Not that Krishna is blue because sky is blue. Rather, sky is blue because Krishna is blue. So Prabhupada was saying that it should remind us of the color of Krishna. The clouds, the sky, the ocean, they're all resembling Krishna's color. Yes. Namasita Mataji.
Prabhu, this reminds me of the analogy that says that in the ocean, various rivers, they keep flowing, but it stays stable. Similarly, we should have control over the mind, even if many desires are flowing.
Yes, and Krishna gives this example of ocean. The devotee is grave like ocean, although so many desires and actually not desires, so many material allurements come, but devotee remains fixed in his devotional service, just like so many rivers come into the ocean, but ocean remains grave and composed. So that can be one thing. Yes, Rasamrit Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
The ocean reminds us of the palace of Dwarka.
Yes, okay. The ocean should remind us of Dwarka because Dwarka was situated in the middle of the ocean. Very nice. Shri Radha Kripa Kataksha Mataji.
In Bhagavad Gita 10:24, Krishna says, bodies of water are in the ocean.
Yes, yes. We can remember the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, this one. Any new hands or these hands are from previous one? Okay, Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It reminds us that Krishna gave us our children. We have to put them on Krishna consciousness path. It's our duty, like Prabhupada said.
We can understand that Krishna has given this responsibility to us, and we should make them Krishna conscious. Okay. Radha Vallabha Mataji. Maybe from previous one. Yes, Bharat Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, I mean, the baby is focusing on the camera for the person who is taking the photo. And so Krishna is all the time taking photos of us. So, we should not miss that, that we cannot hide anything.
Yeah, they're always, the assistant of Yamraj is called as Chitragupta.
Yeah.
And literal meaning of Chitragupta means secret photography. Chitra means photos and Gupta means secretly. So he always takes a photo secretly, what we are doing. Here his name is Chitragupta. So we should be conscious that Krishna is always looking at us. Okay. Namrasita Mataji.
Prabhu, this reminds me that the child, when he is young, he can be molded easily, and so it's easy to get them into Krishna consciousness, and also our
Okay.
responsibility.
Okay. Yeah. We can see that. One devotee wrote, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Venudhari Prabhu. He's looking very cute, but he has to grow old. He has to suffer disease. And eventually we all have to die. So we can understand that also. Yes. Anupama Mataji.
Prabhuji, we can see the 6 changes of the body, and it is
Yes.
one of
Yes.
them.
Yes. We can see that this body will not stay same.
Yeah.
We can also understand this child are innocent. They are sweet. And this innocence and sweetness are good qualities which come from Krishna. So we can also remember Krishna in the innocence and sweetness of children. Okay, this one. Sudevi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, the baby, while in the womb of the mother, he was very suffering. He was crying and he was praying to the Lord. But as soon as he comes to the world, he forgets everything. Like he's smiling.
Yeah. That's also a very beautiful understanding. That he was suffering in the womb and he prayed to the Lord. He came out of the womb of the mother and then he started to smile. He became happy in the material world. He forgot Krishna. So yes. Okay. Now this one, Arun Charan Prabhu.
Krishna appeared in midnight.
Yes. Okay. Krishna appeared in this world in midnight. Jagatambika Mataji.
I forgot what I was about to say, but sorry.
Okay. So Radha Kripa Katakshi Mataji.
How insignificant we are in this material creation.
Yeah. When we see these innumerable planets and galaxies, we understand how tiny and insignificant we are. Yeah. Radha Vallava Mataji.
Prabhuji, that was my answer, but Mataji gave it. So.
Okay. Same. Okay. Let's see this one. Any thoughts on this? Yes, Venudhari Prabhu.
Vanapras Prabhuji.
Okay. 50. Vanaprastha. Very good. Okay. Namrasita Mataji.
Prabhu, 50% of our income should be given to Krishna.
Okay. Yes. 50% income. I'll send you the bank account of temple. You can send. Okay. Varat Krishna Prabhu.
Well, there are limits everywhere.
Yes, there are limits everywhere. We are not independent. We have to follow the rules and regulations of this world. Okay, Radha Vallava Mataji.
Prabhuji, Panchatattva, 5 number.
Okay, yeah, but it's 50. So, maybe something like 10 times Panchatattva or something like that. But we can see Krishna in any situation. Anyway. Okay, this one. Yes, Arun Charan Prabhu. Okay, when you see beautiful city, we remember, don't get carried away by the glitters of this world. Actually, it is forest fire. Saurabh Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, I was saying the same thing, that we all thought that big buildings will come, everybody will happy. But after that also nobody is happy.
Yeah, but one more aspect, like Vajanti Mata is writing, beautiful creation of Krishna. We can understand that if this city cannot come by chance, the city is built and managed by a team, then how can this creation come by chance? There should be a creator behind it. So that way also we can remember the Supreme Lord. Okay, this one. Yes, Jagatambika Mataji.
3 offerings, juice and fruits to Krishna.
Yes, Krishna likes fruits. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. So you remember Krishna whenever we see fruits. Okay. Sudevi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, same as Mataji.
Same. Radha Vallava Mataji.
Prabhuji, sattvic food.
Yes, Krishna focuses on being in mode of goodness, and we should also focus on having lifestyle which promotes mode of goodness in our life. Diya Mataji.
Fruits reminding me of Ekadashi.
Ekadashi, yes. Nowadays, actually, in ISKCON, we have Ekadashi pizza, Ekadashi dosa, Ekadashi whatnot. But real Ekadashi means abstaining from grains. So fruits should remind us of Ekadashi. Very nice. Radha Kripa Kataksha Mataji.
It makes me remember this story of Srila Prabhupada where he says, in each fruit there's a seed, and in that seed there is a whole new tree, and in that tree there are unlimited seeds, and in those unlimited seeds there are unlimited trees.
Yes, yes. And that is the nanotechnology of the Supreme Lord. That he is such a perfect creator. Then once he created fruits, and they have system of having so many fruits for millions of ages. Okay, this one. Yes, Jagatambika Mataji.
That if we are sick and we need like warm water or hot water to keep us we don't get worse.
Okay, but how to connect it to Krishna?
Yeah, I will think.
Yeah, Vyasdev Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, it doesn't matter what is which bottle is small, which is big, which has which color, but the purpose it has been made is to store water and drink. Similarly, Krishna doesn't see differences in different living entities and takes care of everyone equally.
Okay, the purpose of Krishna's, or we can say the purpose of our life is to serve Krishna. It doesn't matter in which situation we are in. So we can take that. Okay. Shri Radha Kripa Kataksha Mataji. Varat Krishna Prabhu.
There is variety in the spiritual world, just like in the material world.
Yes, yes. There is so much variety in the spiritual world. Not that everything is one.
Like Brahma, to merge in the Brahman, Brahman is not, the best thing.
Right, right. And Arun Charan Prabhu is writing Nirjala Ekadashi. When you see a lot of water bottles, remember Nirjala Ekadashi. Very nice. Vansi Vilasini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, when we see those beautiful bottles, it's like the material world. We are each and every one looking for beautiful houses, but actually we are all we are all in the bottle of the material world. We are stuck in it. Maybe it is beautiful, a beautiful house, beautiful places, but we are still in this material world, stuck in like the water in the bottle.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a beautiful poem in English. Alas for those who spend their days in festive mirth and joy. The dazzling, deadly liquid forms their heart forever in joy. The shining bottles charms their eyes and draw their heart's embrace. The slaves of wine can never rise from what we call disgrace. Very nice poem. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that shining bottles charms their eyes. The glitters of this world capture the attention of the living entity, and then living entity becomes slaves of wine, means slaves of the sense gratification of this world and forget Krishna. So like that, one more thing we can understand is that the soul is same. It has different coverings. In the same way, water is kept in different bottles. So soul is having different bodies, but actually the living entity is same. Okay, next one is easier. Someone who has not spoken. Okay, Moksharupi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It reminds me that the soul is the powerhouse. When
Soul is the powerhouse for
body.
body.
Soul is the powerhouse of the body. Till the soul is in the body, we are alive. And as soon as the soul leaves, like a current, it's an electric current in the body. As soon as the current is switched off,
consciousness.
Yes.
The current is consciousness. Yeah. Nishtha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it reminds me that it is the energy of Krishna and we should not waste it.
Yes, it's Krishna's energy and we can't waste Krishna's energy. Okay, Sachidananda Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, it reminds me that in Vaikunt there is no need for any power lines and so on because
Yeah, in material world we have to make such elaborate arrangements, but in Vaikuntha, na tad bhashyate shuryo, na shashanko na pavaka. So there is no need of all electricity and things. Okay. One more thing we can understand is Krishna is the source of all energy. He is the real powerhouse of all energies. Okay. This one. Any thoughts on this one? Yes, Arun Charan Prabhu.
Yeah, like Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Once we cleanse, then the actual spiritual consciousness brightens up, just like removing these curtains, maybe.
Okay, okay. Jagat Ambika Mataji.
Darshan, morning after Mangalati, greetings, Darshan.
Okay. By seeing curtains, we can remember altar. Okay. Radha Vallabha Mataji.
Prabhuji, Grahastha's color.
Okay. White is actually color of Paramahansas. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and Jagannath Das Babaji all wore white. White color is here, Grahastha's color and also Paramahansa color. Okay. Shrutidhar Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. I remember the analogy of His Holiness Bhakti Charaguru Maharaj, who gave the example of just like a child hides behind the curtains. So similarly, looking for his or her mother. Similarly, we should remove the curtains and look for Krishna and search for him.
Yes. In Ishopnishad, a devotee will study that. A devotee is praying, Lord Hiranyamaya Patrena, please remove this effulgence which is covering you. I want to see your lotus face. So it's like removing the curtains. Okay, this one is simple. This one is also simple. Okay. Let's see the last one. Yes, Varat Krishna Prabhu.
This is as regards how the Lord, filters and purify, the water in the coconut.
Yes. The water in the ground, the tree takes, and it packs such a nice packaging of purified, sanctified water. Krishna is such a purifier. Yes, okay. Vajanti Mata is writing. We can remember Abhishek with coconut water. It's nice. Then Rasamrit Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, this tree, coconut tree, reminds me, as it is tall, it reminds me of the Supreme Personality of Godhead among the gods.
Yeah, we can see how great the Supreme Lord is. Keshav Priya Mataji.
The tree is reminding me of the one verse, and I don't know in which chapter it is, but where we are the seed and we grow into the plant, and the plant becomes a tree, and the fruit and whatever. But it's basically talking about how by chanting and continuous chanting we can water the plant in order
Yeah.
to grow into that beautiful
So
sturdy
that is
tree.
the seed of devotion. We water and it grows and grows and it reaches Krishna. Yes. Shri Radha Kripa Katakshi Mataji.
Devotees may seem strict like
Coconut.
the outside of a coconut, but their heart is soft and sweet, like inside the
Yeah.
coconut.
Yeah. Yes.
And also coconut reminds me of Abhishek of the Lord with coconut water.
Right. One more thing I was thinking. There's so many coconuts, so many coconut tree. When the coconut get ripens, it falls itself. But do we hear every day that somebody died of coconut falling in their head? Who is managing this timeline? That coconut falls, but it doesn't fall on our head. This is Krishna's creation. Rarely it may happen. But every day coconuts are falling, but they're not falling in our head. Krishna takes care. Krishna is the ultimate shelter. Yes, Bharat Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, I think Prabhupada somewhere said about this, falling coconut, that they have eyes. So as you say, I mean, this is an extension of, it is Krishna's,
Yeah.
who is looking, when the coconut should detach itself, and not
Right.
hurt anybody. So it's a magical arrangement of Krishna.
Right. Now I have a question. The exercise which we did, is it not Mayavad that we are seeing everything as Krishna? What is the difference between Mayavadis and us? They say everything is Krishna. In a way, we are all saying everything is Krishna. What is the difference? Any thought? Yes, Moksharupi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. As per my understanding, the Mayavadis are not seeing Krishna everywhere. They're saying that it's the energy. They're not recognizing Krishna as a person. They are recognizing as an energy.
Yeah, Krishna means their understanding is God. They say God, everything is God. Is that understanding and what we did now is same?
Thinking.
Okay. Arun Charan Prabhu.
So, like Prabhuji, Mayavadis, what they do is they understand that yes, everything is Brahma, or let's say everything is one and the same thing. But what we are doing is that we are not seeing Krishna directly everywhere, because at our understanding we cannot do so. But what we are seeing is we are seeing Krishna's hand behind everything.
Okay, that's a difference. That's one of the differences. The devotee doesn't say that everything is Krishna. Devotee say everything is Krishna's energy. It's happening by Krishna's control. So yeah, that is one difference. Okay, Varat Krishna Prabhu.
So here, that what the Mayavadi says, we are right, we agree with that, but it's only part of the truth. So
Okay,
we go beyond.
their understanding is incomplete when they say that everywhere is God. But there is a major difference also. Understanding of Mayavadis is that they say everything is product of Maya. That is a problem. They say that Lord is Maya, Jiva is Maya, everything in this world is Maya. We don't believe that. Yes, there is Maya, but Lord is beyond Maya. Lord is beyond material nature. And therefore, the state comes of what Krishna is describing in next verse. That yogi sees God everywhere, but that doesn't mean he thinks that God has become a product of matter. No. Yogi understands that Supreme Lord is the object of worship. He's not like me. He's not like any other material product. Therefore, after understanding this, the action of perfect yogi is described in verse 31 and 32. Keshav Priya Mataji, can you read verse 31st?
Yes, Prabhu. Text 31. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances.
So oneness with the Supreme Lord doesn't mean merging in the Supreme Lord. That is Mayavad. But becoming united with Supreme Lord means to be engaged in the service of the Lord. Bhajati, meditates bhajati. Bhajati means to serve. That is the action of a perfect yogi. He serves the Supreme Lord, understanding that there is no difference between the Lord and his energies, but still Lord is the controller of his energies. So I can't count Lord as a product of a matter. I have to learn to serve him. And therefore, his understanding of the Supreme Lord is based on a perfect knowledge. And now, what is his perception about other living entities? That is also important. Verse 32. Moksharupi Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both the happiness and the distress, O Arjuna.
So a devotee, because he sees everybody in relation with Krishna, just like we did the small exercise, he is not envious of anybody. He looks everybody as his friend, and he always does things for the welfare of the whole world. Therefore, this yogi is a perfect follower of the Supreme Lord, where he has a perfect understanding of the Supreme Lord for worshipping him, and for other souls he has compassion and a sense of helping them. So that way a yogi is. Now, after hearing all these qualities of a yogi, what was Arjun's reaction? This we can see in verse 33 and 34. Yes, Saurabh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, I just wanted to ask this because Arjuna is in the war and he wants to. He somehow he has that desire of taking revenge, right? Now, if the devotee exactly has that, he's unbiased and he looks everyone for the welfare and looks God in every human being, then Arjuna, how Arjuna can fight with other people with this mindset?
That's exactly what Krishna wants him to teach. That Arjuna, don't fight for your own revenge. You are not fighting for your own animosity. If you do that, you will be under the clutches of karmic reactions. Arjuna, you fight for my pleasure. I am asking you to fight. You fight for establishing dharmic principles. Therefore, you have to fight. Otherwise, for a devotee, all are equal. You don't have any enemies. But you are fighting because I am telling you to fight. Like one time, two soldiers were fighting, like from maybe India and Pakistan. The two soldiers were fighting in the border. And they ran out of the bullets. So they charged on each other. And they were, fighting with their fists and things. So at one point, this Indian soldier was on the Pakistani soldier, completely keeping him in control, and was about to, kick him. But this Pakistani soldier spit at the face of Indian soldier. The Indian soldier told that, I can't kill you now. He said, why? Because so long I was fighting for my mother, or my mother India, for my land. But now if I kill you, I will kill you because you spit at my face. And this is my personal animosity with you. So this is what Krishna wants to teach Arjuna. It's not personal animosity and revenge. You have to rise above that, Arjuna. And you have to fight for establishment of religion. You have to fight for my pleasure and at the top of everything. So that's what Krishna wants to teach Arjuna. Okay? So after hearing all these descriptions of yoga, Arjuna, yeah, sorry. You want to
Yeah,
say something?
Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yeah.
So, for example, for Arjuna, he was fortunate that God was himself present over there. But for people like for fallen souls like us, what Krishna is saying, how do we identify? Means like we have to take a lot of decisions in our in our jobs or in our business, in our day-to-day household.
Krishna already told that. Krishna told that a yogi, he follows the injunctions of the scriptures, and Krishna also told in 4th chapter that tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. We need a spiritual guide in our life, and they train us to take decision. Now it's not possible for getting guidance at each step of our life. Like Arjuna has to shoot 1 arrow or 2 arrows. Krishna is not going to go in this much detail. So we have to also learn to take decisions based on scriptural understanding and guidance of the spiritual master. But when there are big decisions and when there is confusion, we should take spiritual help. These are the representations of the Supreme Lord. They are representing the Supreme Lord for us. Spiritual master, Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, scriptures, they are there to guide us. And we should take help of them.
Okay, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So Arjuna rejects Ashtanga Yoga on the grounds of impracticality. He admits that Krishna, whatever you have told now sounds nice, but it's impractical. Because the main problem is mind. You told that you have to control mind to be a yogi. How to control mind? Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi balavad dranam tasyaham nigraham manne vayureva dushkaram. So difficult. Mind is chanchalam, flickering. Pramathi, so powerful. Balavad, obstinate. Dridham, very determined in its own demand. So when we have such an enemy, it's very difficult to subdue the mind. Arjuna is telling, I can control the wind. Who can control wind? But Arjuna is saying, I can control the wind, but controlling mind is sounding to me more difficult than controlling the wind. Sudevi Mataji, can you read the quotation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Just imagine what is his qualification. He is direct friend of Krishna and he is a great warrior. He has got administrative capacity and at the same time his knowledge. Comparing his knowledge, this Bhagavad Gita he understood within 1 hour. This Bhagavad Gita, which is not understood in one life at the present moment, he understood this Bhagavad Gita in 1 hour. So how much intelligent he was. And he belonged to the royal family. All facilities were there. He is accepting that it is not possible for me. Do you think what was impossible for Arjuna 5,000 years before in such favorable circumstances? Is it possible for you? Do you belong to the Arjuna category? No, we are 1,000 times lower than Arjuna's category. And what was impossible for Arjuna, do you think it is possible for you?
So at that time, when Prabhupada was preaching in America, this Hatha Yoga was very famous. People were doing this Ashtanga Yoga, and Prabhupada told them, Arjuna admitted it's not possible for him. Is it possible for us now, when we have so little intelligence and we have this Kali Yuga body with less life, less intelligence, less energy? Can we really practice Ashtanga Yoga? And when we have all this prerequisite, we have to live alone, celibacy, not in the city, not too high, not too low, and we have studied all these requirements. Is it really possible? Especially regulating mind, how to regulate mind? So then Krishna encourages Arjuna that what is the way to start. How to actually control the mind. Krishna already told this before, and now Krishna is just recapping the same concept, how to control the mind. So now let us see. Nishtha Mataji, can you read text 35?
Yes, Prabhuji. The blessed Lord said, O mighty son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and by detachment.
So Krishna gives two ways, two important steps to control the mind. One is abhyas and one is vairagya. Abhyas means practice. What practice? Krishna already told before. Whenever mind goes away, we have to learn to bring it back. This practice we have to do. And another thing is vairagya. Vairagya means we should learn to be detached. If we keep hold of things, mind will make it worse. So with detachment and practice, when one can learn to control the mind. And then Krishna concludes that one whose mind is not controlled, forget about self-realization, forget about spiritual progress. But those who are able to control their minds, they can further progress in the spiritual life. Prabhupada gives a few analogies. Prabhupada said those whose mind is not controlled and they are thinking that they can take both trips, yoga plus material enjoyment, they are like igniting fire and pouring water. It's simply waste of time. They may think that they will have best of the two worlds, but actually they are wasting their times and they can never progress spiritually. Best way to control mind is being constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. If we have so much engagement that mind is not free, then mind will not make much trouble. Therefore, devotees are advised that they should be always busy in service, in hearing, in chanting, or even though they are doing some of their materialistic duties, their understanding and consciousness should be very clear that we are doing for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Arjun became little fearful after hearing all this, because especially the last verse is very eye-opening. Krishna directly tells that if you are not controlled, self-realized, forget about self-realization. Arjun became very fearful. What will happen to unsuccessful yogi? What if I start doing what you are telling me and I fail to do that? Then what will happen? Will my all endeavor go in vain? What exactly happens? So let us read Arjuna's questions. Okay, let me see. Shashti Mataji, would you like to read? Translations 37, 38, 39.
Krishna Prabhu. Text 37. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Text 38. Almighty Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? Text 39. This is my doubt, O Krishna. I ask you to dispel it completely, but for you no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt.
Arjuna is giving one analogy of cloud. When cloud go in groups, a certain cloud is left behind. What will happen to such a cloud? What is the destination of such a pathabhrashta yogi, one who has lost its way? Is there any way for such a yoga bhrashta yogi? So we have to understand there are three categories of yoga. First is actually not yoga. There are three situations. First is inauspicious, where person breaks the scriptural injunctions. What happens to such a person? He has to suffer the results of his karma. Second situation is marginal. Marginal means in between auspicious and inauspicious. That is karma kanda. Person accepts the injunctions of the scriptures, but his goal is sense gratification. So if he fails in between, then he doesn't get his result. Like suppose you are doing a sacrifice for going to heaven, and that sacrifice is not complete, then you will not go to heaven. So that way it's marginal. You may not get sin, but you may not get sense gratification also if the process is incomplete. Now we come to auspicious situation, where even if the process is not complete, person is given a second chance. This is called yoga. When our activities are connected to the Supreme Lord, either by karma yoga, or by jnana yoga, or by ashtanga yoga, or by bhakti yoga, then the second chance is given to such yogi. We'll hear this very hopeful answer by Krishna. Braja Sevaki Mataji, can you read?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Those who are of the fruitive results for sense gratification may be elevated to a higher standard of life, even to the higher planets. But still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. The only auspicious activities of those which lead one to liberation.
So until unless we are following scriptures with understanding of enjoying within the world, then that is not actually auspicious, like something in midway. But real auspiciousness starts when person wants to be liberated from the material clutches. Now that can be either by karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, or bhakti. That all processes are auspicious. And Krishna is giving this hope to Arjun. That Arjun, if you are engaged in any one of these auspicious acts, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga, then don't worry. There cannot be durgati. There cannot be misfortune for such a person. How is that? Krishna is giving first thing. An unsuccessful yogi who falls after a short practice. He practiced for a very little time and then he fallen down. What happens to him? He goes to higher planetary systems. He enjoys there. And then he comes back and take birth in a very wealthy family or a righteous family. Why wealthy and righteous family? Because then he does not need to worry about his maintenance in the next life, and practicing Krishna consciousness may become easier. But there is a risk involved. When wealth comes, person may get distracted also. That is another thing. But at least from Krishna's side, Krishna is giving facility that, okay, an unsuccessful yogi with a short practice, he can be given this next chance. Yes, Namra Sita Mataji?
Prabhu, why he's gone to the higher planets to enjoy when he is taking birth after that in a rich family? Then already he will enjoy over there. So why first?
You see, the reason for falling, the reason for falling of a yogi generally is material desires. And when he is falling due to material desires, Lord mercifully fulfills that material desires. That okay, you enjoy higher grades of sense gratification. Even you go to heaven and enjoy. When you come back, don't get carried away again. You already looked that life. So therefore, Krishna gives this sense gratification to yogi as a lesson. That okay, you wanted to enjoy, you get this enjoyment. But then now you are having another chance. Now you practice Krishna consciousness seriously. Like that. Therefore, Krishna gives little opportunity to him to enjoy. Okay. Now, another possibility is A yogi may be following the process for a long time, but then due to some misfortune, he gets deviated from the path. Then what Lord does, he doesn't sends him to rich people. He sends them to family of another yogis, family of great sages, devotee family, in simple words. So from childhood only they get training of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Prabhupada used to say that children in ISKCON are in this category. They're yoga brashtas. Last life they could not fulfill, they cannot complete their devotional service since they took birth again. Now, another chance Krishna is giving to all these yogis. And do they have to start again? No. Whatever amount of Krishna consciousness they have completed in the previous life, they start from there. Like if they already perfected 25%, this life they starts from 26%. So like that, Krishna gives more and more chance to his devotees so that they can become perfect. And wonderful example in Srimad Bhagavatam is Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was the emperor of whole ancient India, and he renounced everything. He left his children, wife, palace, kingdom, opulence, and he became a mendicant. But then one day, he saw a mother deer giving birth to a child deer, and the mother died. Bharat Maharaj felt compassion for the small deer, and eventually became attached to the deer. Next life, he became deer. But Krishna gave him chance to practice Krishna consciousness further in the third life, when he became Jada Bharat. And then he continued his course of spiritual advancement. So this is the surety on the path of spiritual practice. Otherwise, in material life, no matter how much you study, you become a PhD. Next life, again, you have to study Humpty Dumpty, Sat and Eval. They'll not accept that, oh, you are one PhD, next life you become second PhD. No. They cannot accept that. But Krishna is very compassionate. Even if a yogi deviates from the path, Krishna gives another chance. So we can understand that if there is any trace of material enjoyment in yogi, then Krishna gave them opportunity. Okay, you go to some higher planets, become purified, again come back, and then you practice Krishna consciousness. But if some yogis, they don't have that enjoyment tendency, Krishna gave them opportunity. Okay, you take birth in the devotee family and you practice Krishna consciousness. Yes, Namra Sita Mataji.
Prabhu, does this apply to the yogis, Ashtanga yogis who have attained the perfection?
Yes, this is for both. See, Krishna already told, therefore I shared this part, that it is applicable to all auspicious paths. Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, Bhakti Yogi. So if we see, the first category is Karma Yogi, where person falls after some time if he has again this past tendency of enjoyment. So Krishna gives him another chance. Okay, you go to higher planets, enjoy, come back, again practice. Then Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogis, they are like long-lasting yogis. And if they cannot complete, then Krishna gives them another chance. Take birth in the family of yogis, take birth in the family of sages, take birth in the family of devotees, like that. And bhaktas, they go back to Godhead. They don't come back. So things like that. The imperfect devotees also, they get birth in devotee family. So like that, this is applicable to all auspicious paths. But it's not applicable to karma kandis and vikarmis. So therefore we discuss this part, that this is applicable to all yoga brashtas. But Krishna will now tell that there is even gradation within these yoga systems. It's not that all yoga systems are same. It's not like that. Let us see verse 46. Okay. Okay. Sachidananda Prabhu, can you read translation for 46?
Yes, Prabhuji. A yogi is greater than the aesthetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi.
So Krishna is telling Arjun that so many people do austerities. Like we remember when we are studying for our engineering entrance exam, there were few children, the few student boys with us from Bihar, and they were so austere. They used to study 18 hours, 19 hours a day. And some of them, what they did, like there is this hairs on eyelid, they have cut this hairs on eyelid because they believed that this will lighten the eyelid and we can stay awake for longer time. So people work so hard and they practice such austerities. But for what? Not necessarily for Krishna. Some may be working hard for their own sense gratification. There are so many tapasvis, but yogi is greater because yogi means who is connected to Krishna. His austerities is for Krishna. Another is Gyanis. There's so many Gyanis in the world. They're doing analysis. We already discussed about theistic Sankhya and atheistic Sankhya. Atheistic Sankhya means just analysis of the world, but no Krishna. So yogi is greater than such Gyani. And Karmis, of course, we know. Karmis, they work out of material desires. So yogi is greater than Karmi. Krishna has been describing this for last 3 chapters. So this is obvious that how Karmis are lower than yogi. So Krishna is advising Arjun, therefore become a yogi. Now this yogi can be of different types. When yoga is done through fruitive activities, through our actions, through our responsibilities, that is called karma yoga. When this yoga or connection with Supreme Lord is through knowledge, that is Jnana Yoga. When this yoga is through Ashtanga Yoga, then that is Yoga Paddhati. That is, they can highest it can take it to Paramatma realization. But when this yoga is with bhakti, with sense of surrender, with sense of serving Krishna, that becomes Bhakti Yoga. That is ultimate perfection of human life. So Arjun may ask, which yogi you want me to become? You want me to become Karma Yogi? You want me to become Jnana Yogi? You want me to become Ashtanga Yogi? You want me to become Bhakti Yogi? Which yogi you want me to become? So Krishna summarizes it by telling that I want you to become Bhakti Yogi. Because Bhakti Yoga, it culminates all the other processes. Let us read this quotation by Srila Prabhupada. Who will read? Okay. Pratima Mataji, can you read?
Hare Krishna Babaji. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. So if somebody says, why should I take advantage of this elevator? I shall go step by step. He can go. But there is chance. If you take this Bhakti Yoga immediately, you take the help of the elevator, and within a second, you are on the 100th floor of direct process.
Somebody may ask, if Bhakti Yoga only Krishna has to teach, why he is teaching all other processes? So Prabhupada is answering that. To appreciate elevator, you should know how difficult it is to climb 100th floor by stairs. Then you can appreciate the importance of elevator better. In the same way, we're studying all this Ashtanga Yoga, we realize how sublime the process of Krishna consciousness is. How easy, at the same time, highest process, direct process, Krishna consciousness is. Namrasita Mataji, you have something?
Prabhu, just one more thing I want to ask, that transcendentalists are also karma yogis, jnana yogis, they are also called transcendentalists.
Yes, yes. See, there is difference between karma kandi and karma yogi. We have discussed this in previous chapters. Karma kandi means he is practicing for his own enjoyment. Karma yogi, same activity for Krishna's pleasure. So they are transcendentalists. So then Krishna is telling this famous verse of this chapter, and also whole Bhagavad Gita is one of the favorite verses of Srila Prabhupada. Yoginam api sarvesham mad gatinantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukto tamo mataha. Yukta means connected. Everyone is connected to Krishna, directly or indirectly. But then Yukta Tara means more intimately connected. They are spiritualists. They can be karma yogis, jnana yogis, ashtanga yogis. But Yukta means most intimately connected. They are bhaktas. Yoginam api sarvesham. Sarvesham means out of all yogis, mat gatina antaratmana. One who connects with me in consciousness. Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. Not just theoretical understanding of it, not just thinking about me, but Shraddhavan with faith, bhajate yomam. Bhajate means worshipping. Bhaja means to serve, to worship. Bhajate yomam, one who renders service to me with great faith, that is the best yogi. So in previous words, Krishna told Arjuna, you become a yogi. And which type of yogi? A bhakti yogi. So this verse concludes in bhakti yoga. And that is the beginning of the next phase of Bhagavad Gita, which is unit 2, or the second section of Bhagavad Gita, which is bhakti yoga. We were discussing all through karma yoga, but now Krishna makes Arjun to understand that best way to connect to him is bhakti, and therefore he will start now with 7th chapter describing the process of bhakti. Hare Krishna. Yes, Neha Mataji. Namrasita Mataji.
Prabhu, I have few questions. Can I ask? Do we have time?
Yes.
Prabhu, few lines are there, like in verse 6.29. Outwardly, also every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. So the energy of the Lord, are we talking about the material energy?
Yes, either one. You see, there are two energies of Lord, spiritual and material. So living entity has to be in either one of the energies. If he is in a spiritual world, he is under spiritual energy. Matmanastu mam partha devim prakriti mashrita. So under spiritual energy. And if he is in conditioned life, then he is in material energy. Prakriti kriminani gunai karmani sarvasha. So both are appropriate. So in either of the situation, living entity is situated in the energy of the Supreme Lord.
Okay. Prabhu, there's another line in 6.31. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. Faultless means like?
Faultless because you see, there are many practitioners of yoga, but they don't come to the realization that Vasudevam Sarvamiti, that resting place or shelter of all living entities is Vasudev. So their process is faulty. Even though after practicing everything, they fall down, or they don't have any hope to achieve spiritual perfection. But when after many births, they come to the level of Vasudevam Sarvamiti, Samatmana Sudurlabha. It's very rare situation. So that person is faultless. If he can complete in this life, fine. If he cannot complete in this life, Krishna will give another chance. So he will never be a failure in that sense.
One more thing. Yeah. This is 6.35. impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the impersonal spiritual detachment means over here is more difficult than the attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna.
Yeah, like imagine somebody asks us to meditate on nothing. Just sit, impersonal detachment. You just sit and detach yourself from the world. Is this simple? Or you just open YouTube, type Little Krishna, and watch Krishna's activity of childhood in Vrindavan? What is easier?
Second
So
one.
that way, just focusing on Krishna's pastimes, that is much more easier than impersonal detachment. That's what Prabhupada is telling. Okay.
Yes.
Varat Krishna Prabhu?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the material energy just now and the spiritual energy.
Yeah.
But we can dovetail everything which is material and convert it into spiritual.
Yes.
I mean, it's a bit like the food we eat, we just offer it to Krishna, and the food becomes Krishnaized.
Right.
So all the energy belongs to Krishna. So it depends whether we want to be, in this material world or we want to go to the spiritual world. And how do we utilize that vehicle of,
right.
how that energy, which energy are we using, and how do we convert that energy?
Right. Therefore, Prabhupada used the term conditioned life. The person who is conditioned life, he is under material energy. But a devotee, even while living in material world, he is not in conditioned life. For him, everything is spiritual because he is utilizing in Krishna's service. So it depends on soul to choose. He wants to be connected to Krishna and be under spiritual energy, or he wants to independently act, or maybe he attempts to act independently and fall under conditioned life. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. So we completed up to 6th chapter, and devotees have time now for 3-4 days. Can study nicely. On Monday, we'll start with exam for first 20-30 minutes. It's very easy exam. Devotees finish in 10-15 minutes only, but we'll have 30 good minutes to complete the exam. So I request all devotees to join 5 minutes before the prescribed time, and then we'll continue with chapter 7. Saurabh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have one question that for apart from this open book assessment, first 4 questions were covered in the earlier test. Now the rest 4 questions of the first unit, will it be covered?
No, that is just you have to do 2 questions from that. So unit 1 is over. So that part is okay. Now the next assignment will be given from unit 2.
Because as per the Bhakti Sastri booklet, there are 8 questions in the first unit.
No, there are 8 options, but students are asked to do any 2. Like that.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a little relaxation.
Thank you, bro.
Prabhupada ki jai.